The videos I'm shooting are mostly for our corp and for a lot of our newer members, but obviously it's on YouTube so anybody can watch it. But this video here is for fleet ops. We do a lot of PvP roams, guys, and there's been some confusion. There's been some people who aren't quite used to being in fleets with a bunch of other folks and understanding what to do and when to do it and what various commands are. So first of all, when we're in fleet and we're on fleet comms, we want to keep the chatter. You want to keep the chatter to a minimum, but we're all here. So this is a social game, so we're all having fun, goofing off. But one of the things you need to be aware of is when you hear whether it's an FC or somebody else calling break is fairly common. That means all chatter needs to stop immediately because he's got something important, such as an incoming ship or an incoming fleet, something that may kill you. So when you hear break, all chatter stops. Now, the commands that we've been going over that some of the folks have just not really grasped onto and they haven't had a chance to really experience, we're going to go over here. One of the first ones you're going to hear a fleet commander ask you to do is align. And I think this is something that's probably taught to you in the tutorial of the game. But the fleet commander tells you, a line, was it Gonan? Gonan is one of the systems here, align Gonan. Then you right click Gonan, hit align. Typically, what that means is he's going to fleet warp everybody to that location as a group all at once. He wants everybody to arrive at the same time, and different ships have different agilities and different speeds, and they align at different rates. So if he just hits warp fleet, some will go, some will get left behind. So once you hit that align, he'll probably wait 3 to 5 seconds, and then he'll warp the fleet together. So if you hear him say align Gonan or align wherever, right click it, align, and then just sit back. And then odds are in a few seconds you're going to see yourself entering warp with the fleet. Another one is warp and hold. Warp Gonan and hold. If he says warp Gonan and hold, not to anybody specifically, but to the group, just warp Gonan and hold, click Gonan, warp to 0. Warp and hold means warp to 0 and hold position. Don't move, don't realign, don't do anything, just hold. If it's a gate, there's a good chance there's something on the other side of the gate or something inbound to the other side of the gate, and he's going to want to everybody jump through the gate simultaneously. So warp and hold means warp to wherever he's telling you to warp at 0 and hold position. Another one is warp range, warp at range. Everybody warp Xenu at range. That will be different for most every pilot. Range is based on what you're flying. My particular case right now, I'm in my little Instalock scepter, so I have no weapons. I'm here to scramble. So in my case, I have a warp disruptor on. That's a range of 29 kilometers. So if you're flying a Drake, maybe you've got a 70-kilometer range. Whatever your optimal range is for your weapons, that's what he means by range. If you're in a ship that your optimal is 50 kilometers and he says warp Xenu at range, then you are going to right click Xenu, warp to 50, and go. In my case, warp Xenu at range, I'm going to hit warp Xenu. I'm going to do 30 because I'm at 29, but I'm in an interceptor so I can close that last kilometer really quick and then respond to that just as he says, whatever your optimal range is. Another one is jump and reapproach. Jump and reapproach. Let me get stopped here. Now I'm at 29. It's my range, and I would close in that last kilometer. If your FC tells you jump Gonan and reapproach, so I'm going to hit Gonan. I'm going to jump, and we're going to get going here. There we go. Once I jump through, I'm going to reapproach the gate, and I'm going to hold my position. I'm not going to jump back through yet. I'm going to reapproach the gate and hold. Typically, what this means is there's something in this system coming to the gate that we're at, but maybe he doesn't want that small fleet or that individual to see the number of ships. So he wants us to jump through the gate, get on the other side, and then he wants us to reapproach it as quickly as possible and be ready to jump back through. Don't jump back through until he actually says jump back through. So I click the gate, I click approach. In this case, I'm going to throw on my micro warp drive because I want to get there as fast as possible. Now I'm ready. If something appears over there, something lands on that side of gate on grid, then I can now jump through as soon as the FC calls it. But don't do it until he calls it. Another one is jump and hold, and that's what we just did, except right now we're here. If the FC says jump, was this Neburab? Neburab, jump Neburab and hold. So I'm going to jump. As soon as I get through, I'm just going to hold position. That means hold cloak. I'm not going to break cloak. I'm going to sit here. I've got a 60-second cloak timer. I'm going to stand here until I hear my next instruction. It might be warp here, warp there. He might have me reapproach. But at this point, he wants me to hold cloak because he doesn't want anybody on this side to know that the ships are here. So just hold your cloak. Another one is warp at. And there could be any number of reasons for this, but it's pretty much what it sounds like. Warp Xenu at 100. So I'm going to warp to Xenu at 100. Easy peasy. You might want to go through these a couple times, jot little notes down. This is really very simple. It's basic fleet operations. Uh, break means cut the chatter. Someone's got something important to announce, to say, or to warn you of. Most of the times it's to warn you of. There's an incoming fleet or an incoming ship, or the target you're after is, he knows where they're at and he's trying to tell you. Align, simply just right click the object and align to it. Warp and hold means warp to it at 0 and just hold your position for further instructions. Warp at range, that's the one that confuses most people. Warp at range just means warp to your optimal range. Whatever the object is to warp, you warp to it at whatever your fighting range is. Jump and reapproach, jump through the gate and immediately reapproach it with afterburner or micro warp drives burning. Jump and hold, jump through the gate, hold your cloak, don't move. You've got 60 seconds, and somewhere in that 60 seconds, you'll get a new instruction. And warp at X, warp at 50, warp to the station at 100. And it's just what it sounds like, warp to the station at 100. The other thing that's important is when the FC speaks directly to a pilot. If an FC tells me, Deltec, jump Gonan and hold, I want to repeat that back so he knows I heard it. Not everybody is always in front of their speaker or has their headset on. Maybe they got up to go to the bathroom in the middle of a fleet op. Not a good idea, but it does happen. So when he says Deltec, jump, go in and hold, I'll repeat, jumping and holding. So there's an audible confirmation that I heard the instructions and that I am doing it. Deltec align to Xenu, aligning. It would be our response. I confirm audibly on every direct. Now, you don't need the whole fleet, saying, okay, jumping and holding if there's 20 people in the fleet. If it's a fleet command, it's understood. If it's specifically to you, you respond back what he just said so he knows that you heard it and you are acting on the instructions.